Larry, I'm gonna have to watch the tape emotionally and just coming off the field. I thought some of our passing wasn't as sharp as it could have been. I think some of our first touches, away from pressure could have been a little bit better. I think the overall condition of the team certainly took a little bit of a hit, but you balance that off with, me getting Jordy on the field for 70-plus minutes, getting Andreas back, getting him a few minutes. So I think that balancing act was, in the end, okay for us. But yeah, I felt there was a little bit of rust there, and it's something that we'll work on in training and watch the film and try and, do a little bit better in Colorado.
Moss?
Brian, what was the message coming out at the halftime break? It looked like you guys kind of up-tempoed a little bit and you're attacking. Was there a message in that?
Well, up-tempo, yes. I mean, up-tempo, trying to, create a little more width, changing the point of attack a little bit faster, really trying to get after them. We knew we needed to, score another goal. So, just basically let's work on some of those finer details and pick the tempo up and attack these areas and see if we couldn't get another.
Harvey?
Coach, I believe you said that against great defensive teams, scoring goals is just a matter of getting enough good offensive opportunities that one or two fall through for you. After a game like this, McMath bounced down that volley from Valdez, Lodero curls one just over the bar. Do you allow yourself to wonder what might have been, or are those still just the cost of doing business?
I think it's a cost of doing business. If I'm looking at the stats here, some of the ones that are important are, we did have 22 open play crosses. We had 14 shots, would have liked that number a little bit more. We had 6 shots on target. Our possession was 52.9. The duels won, 65.4. That's a big number. That puts a smile on my face. So a lot of positives. And you can ask me that same question after the second leg, if I'll say, what if, or, what could we have done?
Ryan?
Coach, Pablo just mentioned they have 14 1-0 wins at home, which would obviously send them through to the MLS Cup final if that result holds. Were you happy with the team's offensive output tonight, or is there anything you're going to try and change to be a little more aggressive heading into Dick's Sporting Goods Park?
Well, since we've taken over, there's only one game that we haven't scored a goal. Only one. So that changes things. We understand that soccer's a fluid game. It could end up 1-0 for them. It could end up 3-1 for us. It could be a variety of scores. I think if you did the math, I think, 1-0 to them, sure. Okay, 2-1 to them is overtime. There's a lot of scores, 0-0, 1-1, 2-2. A lot of scores go in our favor as well.
Tim?
Brian, was 70 minutes about what you thought you could get out of Jordan, and just your thoughts on his performance?
We don't ever put a number on it. I felt that when Brad came on, he could kind of spark the game a little bit. Then he dinged up his ankle a little bit, but I was comfortable with him over that 70 minutes. And it was maybe just a little precautionary. We're leading, and I felt Brad can come in and do the job, and just making sure that he's healthy for the return leg.
Rich?
Coach, during most of your tenure, the team has had to fight to make up the ground it lost during the first 20 games of the season. Over these last couple of weeks without games to play, did you sense or do you feel a change in mentality as if expectations maybe are setting in at this point?
I'm not clear on what expectations are setting in. We expect to win every game we go out and play. I think the resolve to come back and score 2 against the number 1 defense in MLS shows good resolve. I would say that every expectation that this club has, from the ownership group through the players, through the staff that I have, we all expect to win every game we step on the field. And so that hasn't changed one iota. The games certainly, were must win way back then. Well, they're must win now as well. I mean, we win in Denver, we go through.
Todd?
Yeah, Brian, getting the equalizer 5 minutes later, How crucial was that as opposed to just kind of letting that 1-0 thing kind of linger for a while?
Well, it's always, nice to score that, I have confidence that the team would have found a way to score. So whether it comes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15, or in the last 5 minutes, I have confidence that the team can find ways to win and create stuff.
Art?
Integrating a talented player mid-season is always a tricky thing, and you saw that with Dempsey when he came here. What about with their own mates made it easier? They're different players, different personalities, but that can be a tough execution.
Well, Garth and Chris Henderson, those guys did a really good job of scouting Ladero. I've said this before, he came in prepared. A lot of times a midseason DP is just coming off a long season and, there's wear and tear on the body. Ladero had a little bit of a injury. He had a little layoff. He comes back with Boca. He finishes this tournament. And as he's finishing that tournament, he's getting in good physical condition. But then what really made the difference was he actually scouted MLS games. He wanted to get a code that we watch film on through the internet to watch as many MLS games as he could. So that's just testament to what kind of character he has.
Nico?
Pablo mentioned that in this instance, he wishes that players define the games, talking about the penalty that he probably thought wasn't a penalty. What are your thoughts behind the statement and the PK?
Well, you control the controllables. We can't control what the referees do, so we leave that alone.
Front row, please.
Dan Boniface with the Denver Post. Were you surprised to see Gelsengashi out there given the injury, and how did you guys go about defending him?
No, I wasn't, because every player wants to play, and testament to, the Rapid staff to getting him back out on the field. He is a very, very talented player. We were concerned about his shots from distance and, the playmaking abilities that he has, for sure. But we really didn't draw up a game plan for just one player because they're a very solid team back to front. So it's just a matter of us playing good team defense. And, he's just part of a good squad.
Matt, and time for a few follow-ups.
Ozzy gets a yellow in the knockout game, I believe, doesn't get a yellow the rest of the way. Can you talk about his discipline and his presence tonight?
Really good. Really good. I mean, he's taken on the captaincy, and that is, sometimes not easy. Guys get emotional. They're the captain. They've got the armband. I think they need to do too much. I think he's played within himself. I think he's played to his strengths. And then I also believe that his will to win, his will to impact games, which we've seen since '09, is just like a renaissance. It's like when he first showed up with he and Montero and, some of those early years, he's playing at a really, really high level. And then he's got this that makes him a more effective player now as he's grown a little older.
Jeremiah?
Roldan was actually your highest volume passer. How big of a part of the game plan was he going in, and you can speak a little bit about his growth throughout the year?
Well, he's always a big part of our game plan. He makes Ozzy better. So thanks for bringing that up, because I like talking about the kid. Total volume of passes, I'll have to look at it again, find out where he picked it up, where he was successful, where he was unsuccessful. He's gotten a lot better at that. One of the things that we were driving him at training was to be a little cleaner, a little more, a little bit more deliberate in some of his passing. Okay, like I'm going to play it to your right foot because I know there's a defender on your left shoulder. Some of those little nuances of the game I think he's worked on and he's gotten better at. And so, his passing's gotten better. And again, he's another guy sitting next to Ozzy that has a really incredible will to win. You saw that tonight based on his physical output, not just his soccer.
Back row there.
Coach, Chris Blakely, you'd mentioned earlier Bryant picked up a knock. Do you have any update on that, or what happened?
No, I'll have to check in with the trainers afterwards, but I expect him to be fine. He's a tough kid as well.
Matt?
Is there something unique about the way that Nico can kind of impose himself on a game? It seems like he can sort of take control in a way that few guys can't.
Well, the MLS is a good league. There's plenty of good players. We're very fortunate to have Nico, but you look at Giovinco, you look at Villa, you look at a bunch of guys in this league that we import in. Then you have guys that have been here for a long time that do a good job. I think the league's grown, and I think getting players of that caliber is something that we will continue to do. Again, I know Garth and Chris and those guys do a lot of scouting, and our targets, the players that we want to get are of that caliber. And then what happens then is as soon as we bring those guys in, what we want to make sure that happens is they're the examples for all of our young guys like Christian and those guys, to come up and meet them, not the other way around where it's an older guy that starts on the decline. I want to make sure that the young guys on this team have a really good example as to where they need to get to. And again, Nico's a good example of that, and Christian, is trying to match him at training, doing extra work, extra fitness and stuff just to keep up.